I want to jump into like right away the new thing with I Prevail.
Yes.
This Can You See Me in the Dark? What's it like for you working with another band?
I loved it. It was the first time that we ever, as a full band, did a collaboration and wrote a song with another entire full band. So it was really great to work with them because I've been and I mean my fiance turned me on to them before we even really knew them personally. Well, we had met them here and there a few times, but like weren't really in touch with them up until we started gearing up for this tour. And like I'd say maybe a year ago or something, my fiance was like, "Oh, you gotta listen to I Prevail." I was like, "Oh, we played with them before, like, but I never actually like really listened to them." So we've been like jamming on them like crazy. I love their latest full album that they just released is really great. It's front to back. All the songs are great. I love Fear of Letting Go. I love Body Bag, and I love their old stuff too, like Gasoline is such a just rip your head off song. So they're one of those current modern rock bands that like is really inspiring. Like I love their riffs and I love how aggressive they are. I love that they have two singers. Brian and Eric are so good together. So I'm, as a fan, I'm just excited to get to watch them every night.
But and the one thing I was thinking though, like it's easy when you do a team up with a band to like, Lizzie will go back and forth with the vocals, or even guitars are a little easier to go back and forth on. How does it work for drummers? Like how is that going back and forth?
Um, I didn't work with Gabe personally, but I worked with their producer, and well, we all worked with their producer and and their main songwriter, and it was just we were just trading files back and forth, programming things and getting things together. But all in all, the I Prevail guys really killed it by building the track itself, and I loved the drum parts that they came up with. And I was like, you know what? I really don't want to change anything. This is just perfect, you know? So I didn't really have a lot of collaboration involvement when it came to the drums, but mostly in the melody, the lyrics, just the songwriting aspect of it. It was kind of just between the two bands and their producer just writing a song. So we had sent them a bunch of demo ideas for melodies, for lyrics, for just overall subject matter and things like that, and then they would just take that and they would build all this music around it. And Eric came in and wrote these awesome screams, yeah, like everybody really pulled their weight in the process of writing it and producing the track.
Nice. And yeah, and it's a killer one. And speaking of team ups, like Lizzie obviously just wrapped with Skid Row, and she's always out there doing 8 million different things with other bands. How does the rest of the band feel about, like, is there ever like a hey, like we want
Oh
to do
no,
something
it's
now?
it's great, honestly, because she does a whole lot of collaborations, and that really just helps to bring more awareness to the band. Um, so we're all very encouraging and very accepting, and I even have another project called Chemical Fire
Yep.
that we're actually going on a short little tour up to New York City and back, doing 3 shows and doing some label showcases and stuff like that. And so far we only have 2 songs out, but we're gearing up to release another single. And we have so many songs that are written and already finished that we're just waiting to get together, get the mix, get the mastered, and hopefully get an album out at some point. So it's a long process getting a band off the ground, even if you're at a level of status where people kind of already know who you are a little bit. It feels like going back to my roots of the early days of Halestorm, getting that off the ground. It's just a slow process. But yeah, like we're very supportive of all the collaborations that Lizzie does, and the 3 of them are very supportive with me wanting to experiment with different sounds and projects and do more singing and do more just kind of in-house songwriting and stuff like that. So all in all, like every time we do anything outside of Halestorm, when we come back together to do our thing, we're just that much stronger as songwriters, as singers, as a band, as players. So yeah, it's a net positive for Halestorm in every aspect. And also with everything we do outside of the band, it brings in a new fan base, because the Chemical Fire sound is a lot different than a Halestorm sound. So we can bring in a whole new audience that may have never heard of Halestorm before.
I think people are going to be surprised that it like hard, like you say, the Chemical Fire sound is different, and that it's hard for you to get a deal. It's like just knock on a door. Come on, you're Halestorm. Like, just hey, I got this thing. Come on.
No, I mean, I feel like we're, as Chemical Fire, we're very lucky because both me and Taylor have been in the business for so long. We've made so many great connections. It is a little bit easier than starting from ground zero with nothing. But it is, but you're right. It is still a long process getting anything off the ground. And at this point, there are a lot of labels that are interested. Now we're just focusing on finding the perfect deal for us that works with us, works with our schedule, works with Halestorm and Lit, which is Taylor's main project. So yeah, all those factors that are involved. And ever since COVID happened, it just kind of, put a big slowdown on the entire music industry. And I think even now, several years out of it, we're still on the recovery from not being able to work for a year and a half. So yeah, like all those factors involved are a challenge, but the good thing is, like, both Taylor and I have such a strong work ethic. We're doing everything we can on our part to just, do what we got to do to be able to kill it and to wow over fans one at a time. That was the objective with Halestorm, was just put us in front of an audience and we will do our best to just win over people. And now we're doing the same thing. Now Taylor and I are kind of approaching the same process.
It's awesome, and it's amazing, and it's inspiring in a way that you have that energy still for a new project. Because a lot of people might hit a level of success and just be like, I'm going to ride this out.
Yeah, I'm I guess what a lot of therapists would call a workaholic.
No,
Probably
not
the healthiest approach, but I don't know how to sit still. I don't know how to not be working on it. I love a new challenge. And, after doing Halestorm for so long, it's kind of gotten to a point where everything's just kind of riding. And, I like the idea of creating something new and watching it grow and watching it grow legs. It's like watching your kid grow up. I don't have any kids yet, but I'm assuming it's probably the same kind of feeling.
It's like watching a puppy grow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there we go. That's more accurate. Yeah.
Yes. I'm in the same boat. No kids, but my dog's getting older, and I'm like, no.
I'm the same way. I'm like, stop growing, stop getting older.
He's like, he plays ball now, and he's like, I'm done. Let's go home.
No. Yeah, my little boy is getting up in age, and he's luckily he still acts like a puppy, but there are some things that he's slowed down on, and I'm like, no, bad.
Yeah,
don't do that.
I'm the same way.
Glad I'm not alone.
Yeah, no, you're not. No, we can talk about that all night. And you mentioned workaholic, and the touring schedule would attest to that. I don't think anybody would argue that. You've got the I Prevail tour, and then later this year you got the Canadian tour with Evanescence. I know you guys have played with them before. What's the vibe like between Halestorm and Evanescence?
Oh, absolutely incredible. We met. When did we meet them? We met them years ago. This was like pre-COVID. We were working with the same producer, Nick Riskelenex, for our last two records, and I think their last two records too. It was we did a huge tour with it. We did this was so long ago. This was the Carnival of Madness tour in, I forget the year, but it was like Evanescence, Chevelle, us, Cavo, and New Medicine, I think was the lineup. I think that was it, yeah. And we really bonded with them on that tour. So we have known Amy and Will and Troy and the whole camp for so long. And I knew Will and Troy back when they were doing Dark New Day. So that was like the first show we ever played as a signed band with Halestorm was at the Machine Shop in Flint, Michigan, and we were opening for Dark New Day and Seether. So it was really cool. When we did the last time we toured with them was right out of COVID. It was bubble touring, and that was hard because we just wanted to hang out with them, but we had to social distance. We'd be in our dressing room FaceTiming them, like, hey, what are you guys doing? But there was one time kind of towards the end of the tour where we were testing every day. We were all negative. So we were like, let's all just finally just get together in this, closed space. We all tested negative, we're all being safe. We're all wearing masks. Let's hang out and have a drink. And I was hanging out with the four of us, so all the Halestorm guys, Troy, Will, and our guitar tech at the time, who I hate to be a downer, but he just passed away not too long ago. Scotty, miss you, Scotty. But we were lucky enough to have him guitar tech. He was like one of the most iconic, legendary guitar techs in the rock and roll world. Long dreads all the way down to his knees. You know, one of our best friends, and he was guitar teching for Seether at that machine shop gig. So there was a moment where the four of us, Will, Troy, and Scotty, were all in the same room, and we were talking, hanging out, and I had to stop everybody. Hey guys, do you realize that everybody that's in this room right now was at the very first signed Halestorm show ever, opening up for Dark New Day and Seether? And they were like, whoa, you know? So needless to say, we go really far back with those guys, and they're just one of the best camps we've ever worked with. They're so easygoing and so accommodating. Like, I got nothing but phrases to sing about Evanescence.
It's such an incredible double bill. Like I'm bummed it's not coming to the East Coast, but I am going to travel to Ottawa to come see you guys. So
Yeah,
like I gotta see it, right? So
road trip.
Road trip. Yeah, a lot of people on the East Coast though upset and hurt. I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Unfortunately, the booking, we don't do the booking. So
no, but you know, just to let you know, there's love out here. That's it.
I hope that we can take that over to the East Side too, because it is a great lineup. Like the two of us together is really amazing. And I mean, even beyond the personal aspect, but the fact that, you know, they're like the two most powerhouse women rock singers in the rock world right now. You know, teaming up together is a big deal for a lot of fans that you know, that see that solidarity and that encouragement between Amy and Lizzie. It's just so great to see them. And also it's great for Lizzie because very rarely does she have girls to hang out with on tour. You know? So yeah, so the two of them get to have some girl time, and I think that they really appreciate that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I wanted to shift to something a little bit more serious.
Sorry.
Well,
Real quick before you move on, I also give a shout out to Emma, the bassist of Evanescence. We also go way back with her from Sick Puppies. One of our besties too. So had to give Emma a shout too.
100%. And Sick Puppies, one of those bands that, like, I don't know how they never fully broke through in Northern, because they were phenomenal. I like You're Going Down and like Let's Go to, like, they had so many great songs.
We had so many plans to do so much with them because we were kind of in the early days. I would say the early days, maybe like second album cycle. The two of us were kind of like equal top 10 bands at the time, and we wanted to do a lot of co-headline stuff with them, but it didn't work out. I think probably because their singer ended up walking away, and I think that was really hard on the band. So I will always love Sick Puppies, and I'll always feel for those guys, for Emma and for Mark, and Brian too, their new singer, awesome guy. I think his name is Brian. It's been a while. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. But yeah, the three of them are such a great camp, and I hope that I hope that they keep going because they're a great band. They deserve more than what they've been handed. You know.
I agree. They're on my workout playlist. Like, so I hear them like at least once a week. They'll come up on my workout playlist. So, you know, yeah,
great band.
Yeah, great band. So what I wanted to switch to was, and again, a little bit more serious, but both you and Lizzie have been really phenomenal about being open about some mental health issues, you know, anxiety, depression, something I deal with. So like when I hear you guys talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Did you have any hesitation in talking about, like, I know I did when the first time I ever went on the air and talked about like anxiety, depression, I was like, should I really be talking about this? I had a little hesitation. I don't anymore, but when you first came out and were talking about what you were going through, was there any like, maybe I keep this to myself?
Maybe in the beginning, you know, there was kind of a stigma around, you know, having mental health issues, and you know, it's kind of a tough thing to admit, but you know, the best thing I ever did was see a therapist, and was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. But luckily, in my case, it's not to a level that requires medication, just a level that requires a lot of life changes. Exercise, good diet, don't drink too much, don't, stay away from the bad habits. But also my therapy has always been music. And so I find that having an outlet to creatively express has been my best therapy. But obviously, there's a lot worse cases out there. And I think that it's important to recommend medication for those who need it. I think if you're suffering with a really intense mental disorder, then there's nothing wrong with, taking proper medication and staying on top of it. Because until you fix this, nothing in life is going to pan out for you until your main decision maker is adequately functioning. I've seen a lot of people who suffer from bipolar and crippling depression, crippling anxiety, and choose not to take medication. In some cases in the music world, they feel like they can't be creative when they're on medication. They can't express themselves creatively. But I feel that it's more beneficial to train yourself to be creative with help, rather than raw dogging your mental illness and then not being able to make proper decisions, having your emotions sway your objective thought. So, so I've always tried to be an advocate to encourage people to at least go to therapy, get some answers. Think of it as like going to a mechanic, getting a mental tune-up, talk to an expert and just be like, I feel this way. What's causing that? What can I do? What changes can I make? And it might be the case that you just have to make some lifestyle changes. For me personally, it was being in a relationship that's not toxic. I'm the kind of person that will fight until his dying death to make a relationship work. But I finally found somebody, my fiance now, who is just so easygoing about my life. It's hard when you're a touring musician to be away from a partner that long. So, that was a big life upgrade for me, was finding a really incredible partner. And that was when I realized that, a lot of the issues that I was having have alleviated because I made a positive life change like that. Same thing with my mom too. My mom was she suffers from PTSD from her childhood, and she has a lot of things. And one thing that really greatly improved her was my parents separating, and then both of them finding their independence. So it could be something as simple as that, but I feel like if experts recommend, utilizing medication to help you stay balanced, then there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like people are more open-minded to mental illness. There isn't so much of a stigma attached to it nowadays.
No, the stigma's definitely come down, and I agree with you on therapy. Mine was medication. They were like, here's some antidepressants. Let's start you there. But I made my biggest strides when I found a therapist that I worked with really well. And like, yeah, she's been like my lifesaver. Like, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't take those steps. So I agree with you 100% on the therapy aspect of it. I think it sometimes gets overlooked because since there are pills, sometimes it's like, oh, it's just a pill. It's like, no, you have to do a bit more than just a pill.
Yeah, I think it's important to just really strengthen your self-awareness and try certain things. See if they work for you. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes you'll have to try a lot of other things. I know a lot of people that are very much on top of their mental game and are prescribed certain medications. They try them, they don't work out. They're like, hey, that's not working. Let's try something else. I think it's a lot of trial and error to like really fine tune what exactly works for you.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's finding things that you take joy in. And so now I'm going to switch back to something a little bit more fun in that let's talk about Dr. Magnificent. I watched that YouTube channel. You're having an absolute blast. There's no way you're not having fun doing that. And what got you down the rabbit hole of scents, colognes, like all that kind of stuff?
Okay, I'll try to make this long story short. I think the beginning of my interest in perfumery stems from the early days of touring when we're in a van, we're playing little clubs. You don't know when you're going to find a shower. So it was kind of a touring necessity to have a fragrance on hand. The first one I ever got was Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male. And that was like my signature scent. I would put that on before meet and greets. So, I know it's nasty, but when you're on tour and you're sweating on stage and sometimes you can't find a shower, you just try to use the sink or wipe yourself down or whatever. But just to help spray on a little fragrance is like, ding, all right, now at least I'm not offensive for meeting fans after the show. And then so like from there I kind of started like, trying other things, like, this will be good for the summertime, this will be good for the wintertime, and learning more about it. And then during COVID, my fiance started introducing me to all these YouTubers that she was following, like a lot of different ones, like these comedy YouTubers like Cody Ko, Tiny Meat Gang, and there's we loved Jenna Marbles until she retired, and then a lot of those. And I was like, what, during COVID, we're all just like looking for things to do because we can't play shows. So I was focusing mostly on songwriting and singing, really honing that in, and that's kind of how Chemical Fire started. But then at the same time, I started following other fragrance content creators, other fragrance YouTubers. And I'd always like kind of wanted to make content because I was following a lot of them, and I was like, I'd love to like have something that kind of like incorporates my personality. I got hired to co-host and comedy write for a podcast called Stop, Drop, and Talk during the pandemic. It was like one of those, hey, like let's entertain the fans in any way we can. Let's do something virtually that we can do together and talk about current issues and current times. And then when the touring kind of started coming back into play, it was hard to schedule everybody doing that. So that's been on ice for a while. So I was like, you know what? I need to make a channel that's something I can do by myself. It's really easy. I don't have to depend on inviting guests. I don't have to depend on other co-hosts and things like that. I can just do it all by myself. And that was kind of when the two worlds collided. I was like, oh, well, I really got into fragrance. I started collecting more during the pandemic, and I really loved, I really started learning how to write for comedy and things like that. And I was like, maybe I could combine these two strengths and make fragrance content like the other fragrance creators I was following, but put my own personality into it. And that's kind of how that started. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the things that is just so fun to do, because I just get to be silly and talk about fragrance, which I became such a nerd about, like learning how fragrances are made and composed, and like learning about perfumers and different brands and different smells, and ordered like a ton of samples and tried all these legendary scents out. So yeah, that's become a really nice therapeutic thing for me to do outside of music, because it doesn't matter how much you love your job. After a while, you even need an escape from that. After a while, I'm sure that you can relate,
100%.
After doing this for so long, you need an outside interest to take you away from that. It's like a palate cleanser for me. Let's call it that. It's a palate cleanser.
It's fantastic. Like I said, yeah, and anybody that hasn't checked it out, they should. So where does Dr. Magnificent rank Axe?
Axe?
Yeah.
Axe body spray?
Yeah.
Oh, low. Real low.
I'm talking to a guy that's like I'll be in the drugstore and like popping things going, yeah, that might work. And it's like garbage. Everything I wear smells
when
like
I
garbage.
started just sampling a lot of niche perfumery and a lot of these really creative smells, I don't know, it's like it fires up all the neurons in your mind, and it's like between the passion for like, because it's your most powerful sense, your olfactory system. So between that and between the joy of writing scripts and writing jokes and comedic moments, and also I really love video editing too. I've been working in Final Cut for years. I was actually the designated video content person for Halestorm back in the beginning, back when YouTube kind of first started. I was thinking of funny skits that we could do as a band and just putting it up there as content, because that was kind of becoming part of the job. Much like it is today with TikTok, but it was kind of like that with YouTube back in the day. We're like, we need, to get more awareness to the band. So let's put out, video content. And for some reason, I just really loved making content that was funny. So all these things are kind of like all these skills that I've accrued over the years, all kind of just came together. And I was like, okay, I think that I have something that I know I can do really well and I can make entertaining. And again, it's like, it's fun to just see it grow. It's fun to see the subscriber count grow. It's fun to see the view counts grow, and it's fun to interact in the comments. So yeah, it's just a nice little, siesta from music, and I can just put my headphones on, edit some content, laugh and enjoy that, and then put that away. And then when I dive back into working on music or getting ready for a show or whatever, like I feel refreshed.
Nice. Well, when I come to Ottawa, I'll bring you something from the East Coast. I'll bring you a set
Please
from the East
do.
Coast. I'll bring you something. I got like two.
I tour with a bunch of like travel vials, so I'll show you this. We'll do some smells together. That'd be fun.
There we go. Yeah. I got like 2 minutes left because I only have the free version of Zoom. Before I let you go, new Halestorm. I know you guys are working on it. Any inside skinny you can give me on that? Like, how's the process going? Do we know? Do we have timetables? Anything like that?
Yeah, we've been recording with Dave Cobb down in Savannah. We've been doing that for over a year now, just going back and forth. And we just went there for like a couple weeks, and we feel like we have a good bulk of material ready to go. We're going to go back again later this year, and hopefully that'll be the last trip. I think we should have something good to put together to start mixing and making it happen. So I'm hoping that we get a new album out next year.
Awesome. Well, I know we're very much excited for it. I know I am, and can't wait. I'm hoping Chemical Fire will have something soon too.
Yeah, we got more
know,
songs coming out too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So yeah, I'll find you a unique East Coast scent. I'll bring it to Ottawa, and we'll see what your nose says.
All right, I can't wait, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking time to do this. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh God, let's do this again sometime, Scotty. It's been great.